بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. So last week we left off talking about helping the oppressors. This is the greater sin that we're talking about now, and we left off speaking about a riwayat by Ali ibn Abi Hamza, who said that one of his friends was employed with Bani Umayyah, and he asked this companion to take him to the Imam. So he took his friend to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and he said that basically he had been working for Bani Umayyah for a long time and made a lot of money, and he didn't think about halal or haram. He's just getting money. And the Imam told him, if people like this had not been in the service of Bani Umayyah to do work for them, write letters for them, collect money for them, all of these things, they wouldn't have had the power to come and take the rights away from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam and their followers. And if they had been left alone, then it wouldn't have any support. So the man asked the Imam, he said, how can I save myself? I've basically done something wrong. How can I atone for it? So the Imam told him, whatever wealth you have, you've earned from them, then return it back to their owners. And if you know who they are. And if not, then give sadaqah on behalf of them. And then I can guarantee you, the Imam tells them, I guarantee that Allah will send you to Jannah. So this is guarantee from a Ma'soom, from Imam. If you do this, you'll definitely go to Jannah. So, he thought about it, and it's difficult if someone were in this situation, maybe that they think I have to give away everything that I own. I have to go all the way to become faqir or miskeen, someone who has nothing, and start all over again, but I will go to Jannah. So a lot of people like to hold on to the things that they have, but he thought about it and he said, okay, I'll do it. So he went to Kufa and gave all the money back to the people that he owed, that their rightful owners, and the people he couldn't, he gave sadaqah, and he even sold the clothes that he was wearing. He gave those away, basically. He got rid of those. So the Imam's friend, he bought him some clothes and gave him some money for his, to get started and stuff like this. And then the companion said, I went back and saw that friend again later, and he was very ill. He got sick. He was very serious condition. He was in the throes of death. And then he opened his eyes and he told me, Ali ibn Abi Hamza, Wallahi, your Imam fulfilled his promise. Then he died. After this, he said, I fulfilled the funeral rites, the janaza, everything. And then I went back to Medina to see Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. And he says, the Imam said to him, Ya Ali, I have fulfilled my promise to your friend. So he said, may I be sacrificed for you. You speak the truth, because my companion, he also testified to this on his deathbed. So we see that, obedience to the Imam, having taslim or submission to the Imam and his commands, even though it may be difficult for us to do in some cases like this one, the Imam will intercede for us, inshallah. And as he interceded for this person, and he promised him Jannah, and he interceded for him, and he was able to go to Jannah. So we see this is one of the atonements also for those who worked for oppressors, that they needed to, all of the things that he had, that he earned from, it was other people's things that were taken. For example, the state is taking houses and money from other people, and then they were giving it to him. So he was able to return that money. So this is where we left off, and we have another narration about a good pious companion of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam and Imam Kadhim alayhi salam. His name was Safwan. He said he used to earn his livelihood by hiring the camels. So he owned a lot of camels. And one day, Imam Kadhim alayhi salam, he said to him, Safwan, every action of yours is good, except one thing. So he said, please tell me what that thing is. He said, you hire your camels to Harun al-Abasi. So the caliph of that time, he's a tyrant, he's an oppressor. So the companion, he said, I don't give my camels for hunting or games, but he takes them when he goes to Hajj. And I don't serve him myself. I order my servants to go on them with that journey with him. The Imam says, do they pay you in advance or after their return? He said, they pay me for those camels when they get back. See, he said, don't you carry the hope with you that they return safely, and they returned safe and sound from that trip with your camels so that you can get your payment. You gave someone something, you hope that they come back so they can pay you. He said, yeah, I do. Imam said, one who wishes them to remain alive, who wishes for an oppressor to remain alive, is like them. And one who is connected to them will go to the hellfire. So it's one of the major sins to wish for the oppressors to remain alive. You know how we say to people is a common phrase, especially in Iraq, Hayakumullah. So they'll say, may Allah give you life. We wish life for the other person when we meet them. So basically, if we wish life for oppressor is one of the major sins because we want them to remain alive. And as long as they remain alive, they are doing oppression. So Safwan said when he heard this, he sold all of his camels. He's like, I'm getting out of this business. I don't want anything to do with this. So he sold all of his camels. And when Harun heard about it, he called him and asked him the reason for it. He said, oh, I became old and weak and I don't want to take care of these camels anymore. Even my servants aren't able to, take care of them properly. Harun said, no, I don't think so. I know who persuaded you to do this, and you've done it on the advice of Musa ibn Ja'far. So he says, what do I have to do with Musa ibn Ja'far? But Harun, he wasn't satisfied with this and said that if he had not had good relations with Safwan, he would have killed him because of this. So we see that one of the things is to hire out things to oppressors. It also is enabling them to be continue in their oppression. And he saw that this was the only thing that the Imam said that wasn't good in his scroll of deeds. So he said, you know what? I'm going to give up my business. If my business isn't good and the Imam doesn't like it, I'm going to stop this business. So it shows they had taslim to the Imam, total submission to the Imam. So we have to ask ourselves, if the Imam came and told us, this thing that you're doing, it's not good, we don't like it, and this is hindering you and your success for hereafter, what would we do? Would we give it up? Or would we say, I'm making a lot of money from this. Maybe I can just do it a little bit longer until I get enough money to get a house or another car or something like that? Or will we just stop dead in our track and say, okay, we submit to Imam. Imam says this is haram, then we're going to give it up. So when we come across the knowledge and the words of the Imam that say something is haram, and we find that action in our life, and we say, okay, the Imam said this is haram, Ahlul Bayt say it's haram, I'm doing this haram thing, I didn't know. Okay, now what do I do about it? Do we submit to the words of the Imam, the riwayat of Imam, and stop it, or do we continue on and act like we don't know? So this is something we have to work on with ourselves, to submit to the words of Imam. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, one who likes the oppressors to continue to live, likes the disobedience to Allah to continue on the earth. So we should never wish for the oppressors to continue uh, committing their oppression. And if we do that, this is a major sin. So we shouldn't do business with them because we would hope that they continue paying us. And in order to continue paying us, they need to continue doing haram and oppressing other people. While explaining the ayat of Surah Hud, ayat 113, and do not incline to those who are unjust, lest the fire may touch you. The Imam says, if a person comes to a ruler and wishes for him to live, if only for as long as it would take for him to put his hand inside his money bag and give him some amount. He only wants him to live just the amount to take out his wallet and hand him some money, and then after that is it. This is also haram. So wishing for the life of an oppressor, even for a moment, is the same as being inclined to the oppressor. So it doesn't say, the fire may touch you if you do the oppression, or if you are committing oppression with him, or if you are helping him in oppression. It says, do not even incline to those who are unjust. Don't like we have the verse about the zina. It says, don't even approach it. Don't go near it. We have the verse about the parents when it says, don't say oof to your parents. Just this word is the smallest word they could find, in the lexicon of words and dictionary of words. Oof, something so small. So it means that anything greater than that is definitely a haram. If only oof is haram, anything more is definitely haram.
Can
So
I ask a question on the
sure.
not on this last one, but what you just mentioned earlier about the camels? I was
Hmm.
thinking a friend of mine owns a chain of stores in like a strip mall, and he was approached by a merchant who not necessarily has only liquor store but also serves liquor. There was no way for him to have stopped him from renting the place. It would have been a legal issue. How would you have handled him or advised him to handle it?
He cannot, rent that store if he knows that person is going to serve alcohol. So he would have to find a way around it to tell him, okay, this is not for rent, or someone else's put a bid or a contract or something like this. So he can't rent for these type of haram businesses, because the money that comes in from those would be also haram.
I understand, but that would be discrimination, though, and that he would have to either sell his business before he can say no to that guy.
Where he has, like, he owns a property and wants
Yeah,
to rent the properties. I
yeah.
think you could probably say that you renting to someone else, you know?
Mm.
Someone came and outbid it or something like this in order not to rent it to that person.
But that was not the case, though. I mean, that's I think he struggled with it, and until he was able to sell that whole strip mall. Now I don't know
Yeah,
if he disassociated himself with the earnings that he got from renting the place. I'm not sure.
yeah, this tricky situation. Some of these businesses, it involves somewhere or the other that you get in those situations. So best to try to avoid it.
Yeah, because there's no way you can stipulate in the contract you cannot sell this or cannot do that because that's
No,
law.
no, not this way, but I mean, if someone comes to you and says, I want to rent your place and I want to open a liquor store, you have to find a way to get out of that.
I know.
Now, if you rent a place to someone, and they just say that they're gonna open a restaurant, and they don't say anything about the liquor store, then this is a different issue. And
And
then
that
maybe
happens
when you
too.
find out later, then there's some other steps that need to be
Yeah.
taken, because you have to fulfill your contract with that person, but the earnings would be problematic because they would come from haram. It would be mixed with haram, actually, because some of the earnings may be halal, where they're selling food and cola or something like that, but then there's some also money that's mixed in with that, which would be haram, and then they would have to figure out this portion, and some steps would have to be taken, and they would have to do another route on that, which would come down to the books of fiqh and see about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is tough.
Yeah, yeah. They would probably have to refer to Marja and see what they should do with those, how they should handle that. But I'm pretty sure it would go in that direction, and then he would advise them what to do with the earnings.
because the same, and I don't want to take too much time. There's the same example of another friend who used to deliver Pizza Hut's pizzas, and invariably there. I mean, he said, I don't know, and I don't eat, and I don't even see what it is. But you would think of almost all the pizzas that are consumed here has pepperonis and hams and whatever.
Yeah.
So he said he's got permission from Iran to do that because he's only delivering it. I told him, I said, I don't see that as
I
legitimate.
mean, if he has permission, then he has something from his marja, and in the way he explained it. But honestly, these things are like, I would take precaution. I wouldn't,
Yeah,
do it. Would
because
do something
do
else.
another job or something.
Yeah, yeah, I would find something else just to be safe. I mean, that's me. I don't want to be compromising situation with the my akhirah.
I'm with you on that,
Yeah.
100%. All right, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Yeah,
I have a question too
there is
on
a
the
way
other.
to do something with mixed money. It's
Oh,
in Risala, like with money that comes that's mixed with halal and haram, and you don't know what is what, and there's some way to solve it, but another discussion, inshallah. Okay.
Sheikh, I have one question
Mm-hmm.
regarding the statement you said that we should not say off to the parents.
Yeah.
Does it apply to all parents or the parents who are not so nice with their kids? Is there any, because sometimes the kids may say, oh, this is for the parents who are like ideal parents and you have not been
No.
good with us and just like that. Is there any exclusion for that or sometime?
No, it should be with we have to deal, justly with everyone and give them their rights, even if they're not giving us, our rights. We have to be kind with them, and our behavior may change them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I remember there was like some parents that didn't like their kids being Muslim, and they were Christian, and the Prophet told the person to be nice with them and do good with them, and he did a lot of stuff for his mother. His mother said, "You never did this stuff before," and he said, "Oh, my Prophet told me to do this," and then she ended up becoming Muslim, and then she passed away, but due to the nice things and akhlaq that he showed with her, even though maybe she might not have been the nicest with him because he became a Muslim. So
Right, right.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, like if it's an abusive situation, it's different and they need to, take care of themselves, but they should still not abuse them back.
Right, right, right.
But in these things, my point is that when something is mentioned as small is haram, then the larger thing is definitely haram. Like oof, then cursing at your parents is more than that, which is definitely haram. Or
Right.
so these things. So even the Imam is, or the ayat, Allah is saying, don't incline to them. So that means don't even, want to go towards them or do anything for them, get close to them even. So definitely working with them or wishing them long life and helping them and oppression and other things are definitely haram. If just inclining to them is haram.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So it says to help a person who is not an habitual oppressor. Maybe they're not oppressing people all the time, but sometimes they're doing it. Um, is also haram to do. He says if one knowingly helps a person in a situation where he is oppressing another one, or one commits a haram action and a greater sin is also punishable as promised in Quran, where Allah says, surely in Surah Al-Kahf, ayat 29, surely we have prepared for the iniquitous a fire, the curtains of which shall encompass them, and if they cry for water, they will be given water like molten brass, will scald their faces, evil the drink, and ill the resting place. He says oppressing and helping someone is oppression. It's one and the same. They're linked together. The person who is helping is also oppressing. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, the one who helps an oppressor and the one who is satisfied with it are all partners in the oppression. For example, someone sees this oppression that is happening to Philistine, and they say, na'udhu billah, they say, I'm glad that they're killing those Arabs or those Muslims or something like this, and I'm happy that they are wiping them out, then they are the same. They are linked together in that action. They are joined together in that action because they are satisfied with it. So they are all partners in that oppression, according to words of Imam. It means that all three of those are equally responsible. He says a similar narration from Imam Bakr, who relates from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one who breaks allegiance to the Imam or raises a standard of misguidance or conceals a piece of knowledge which is obligatory to be imparted, or takes some property or helps an oppressor knowingly, then he has deserted the religion of Islam. Meaning this sin has taken him outside of the fold of Islam. He is in a state of kufr when they are doing these actions. It says on the night of Mi'raj, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he saw this inscription on one of the doors of Jahannam, one of the doors of hellfire. It said, Allah degrades the one who insults Islam, the one who insults Ahlul Bayt, and the one who helps an oppressor in oppression. So these people, Allah degrades them. Allah doesn't hold them in any favor, and they'll have a bad ending. Those who insult Islam, we see those people who burn the Quran and who talk bad about Islam. It's okay. They will have their time where they will have to account for that. Allah will degrade them, inshallah, in this life and in the next life. The same for those nawasib who insult Ahlul Bayt. When they have enmity towards Ahlul Bayt and followers of Ahlul Bayt, this inscription on the doors of hell is for them also, and the one who helps an oppressor while he is oppressing someone else. He says, in this way, the Quranic verses and narrations prove the seriousness of dhulm or oppression, and helping an oppressor is also a greater sin. The one who helps an oppressor has also acted against the divine commandments of forbidding evil, nahi anil munkar, because when we see evil, we should try to stop it with our hand, or if we cannot, then stop it with our tongue by speaking out against it, or at least hate it in our heart. So when we do that, when we help them or we don't do this, we are aiding them. We are foregoing our commandment that Allah has told us to forbid evil. And the author says they're actually munafiq or hypocrite because he has in fact encouraged the evil act. And this is one of the characteristics of munafiqun. Allah says in Quran, Surah Tawbah, ayat 67, the hypocritical men and hypocritical women are all alike. They enjoin evil and they forbid good. So this is one of those characteristics of hypocrites. If a Muslim sees an oppressor trying to oppress someone else, and he's in a position to stop it, it's wajib on him to stop it. He should stop this if he is able to do so. For example, we are walking down the street and we see a guy beating a lady. We should stop this. We shouldn't just walk by like, oh, well, not my business, If we're able to do so, we should stop it, or we should, call other people to stop it. Because when people let it go, they are, enabling that other person to do this. It's only when society becomes complacent or they don't care anymore, they're indifferent to oppression, the oppression thrives and continues. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, help your Muslim brother, whether he is an oppressor or the oppressed one. So the people said, Ya Rasulullah, we shall help the oppressed ones, but how is it possible to help the oppressor? How can we help him? He said, hold both hands of the oppressor so that he cannot oppress anymore. He cannot do this wrong to anyone. He said, if you do it, it is as if you have helped him, and such an action is a help to your brother in faith, because you're helping the oppressor by stopping him. He wants to continue this oppression. Let's say he is beating someone up, and oppressing them, and you grab their hands and stop them, you are actually helping him because you are forbidding him from oppressing anyone else. Or if he is stealing from someone and you grab his hand, you stop him from that action, you are helping him because you're stopping him. So this is the way, what it means when we help our brother, if he is an oppressor or he is oppressed. It's permitted to, the author says it's permitted to help an oppressor in acts other than oppression if giving him help can discourage him from the oppression. So you give him advice, you give him counsel, these things, and try to take him away from the oppression. If, however, helping him has no effect and it will not render any good, and his oppression will continue, nahi anil munkar doesn't have any effect on them, then it's not wajib on a person to do nahi anil munkar or forbid evil if it will have no effect. And it's haram to help that oppressor if he knows that it won't help and it won't stop him, and he definitely will, he is bent on doing that oppression. It's also haram to help an oppressor whose oppression is not directed to others, but he is unjust to himself. He's oppressing himself. We say this in Dua Kamel, Dalamtu Nafsi. I have wronged myself. I have oppressed myself. Helping someone else who is just oppressing themselves. For example, he is not praying, or to help him not to pray, or to avoid fasting, or to drink alcohol, or to commit adultery, or to gamble. Every type of sinner, they're being unjust to themselves. So helping him in being unjust to himself is also haram. For example, enabling them or giving them drugs or alcohol or these type of things, even though they're not oppressing someone else, they're only doing it towards themselves. Helping him oppress himself is also becoming a partner in that sin. And Allah says in Surah Ma'idah, ayat 2, help one another in goodness and piety. Do not help one another in sin and oppression. And be careful of your duty to Allah. Allah is severe in requiting evil. So sin or itham is limited to the one who commits it, and aggression it affects the others too, he says. So sin is affecting that person who is doing it. So if this person is just doing the sin against himself, we cannot aid and help him in this. Because when we think of oppression, we normally think of someone oppressing someone else, harming someone else. And we forget to think that we can also oppress ourselves. This is why we are fighting against ourselves, jihad an-nafs, the battle against ourselves. Sometimes we can be the oppressor and be oppressor against our own self. So I think we have run out of time on this section, and inshallah we'll finish it in the next class. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Ajil faraj.
5 minutes break, inshallah, then we can